Hello everybody, Manix here. Got another head-to-head knife comparison video for you right here, right now. Our first contestant is the Spyderco Manix G10, and then we're going to be comparing it directly to the Spyderco Manix Lightweight FRCP. I don't believe they make this color anymore, but it's the exact same version of the blackened coloration variant of this knife that they currently sell as I'm filming this in April 2023. Both amazing knives, some of my favorite knives of all time. The main difference between the two being this guy, the G10, is S30V, and then this version is going to be the CTS BD1N blade steel. Same locking mechanisms, pretty much the same ergonomics, although our side traction is quite different. The handle materials are completely different. Pocket clips are a little bit different, but the blade shapes are pretty much spot on. Specifications are going to be quite different, though, as far as weight is concerned. So let's read off the specs. According to their website, the G10 model has a weight of 4.9 ounces. And then our FRCP version, the lightweight, is 3 ounces, so just about 2 ounces lighter. Their specifications as far as their length is concerned is exactly the same. Both blades are 3.37 inches long. Both handles are 4.66 inches long. Overall length on both of these is 8.03 inches. Our G10 variant retails at $216 US, and our FRCP variant retails at $182. I looked around. The cheapest prices I could find on the blackened version anyway of the FRCP, I saw it for as cheap as $110. This I saw for as cheap as $150. So give or take 40 bucks more for this guy. Again, we're getting S30V on here. We only have CTS BD1 on this one. It looks like they're both stonewash. This one has a more pronounced stonewash finish, I think. This one's a little bit more subtle. It kind of looks like satin, but on closer inspection, it's also stonewash. But it's a little bit more reflective. This one looks like a cheaper finish. It's like I see on a lot of the cold steels. Very beautiful, I still think, but this one's a little bit more subtle and a little more classy, a little bit more beautiful overall, I think. But technically, they're both stonewash finishes. This one's just a little bit more reflective. They both have the cage ball bearing locking mechanism, as you can see right there. So which one's the winner? It just depends on what you're doing. This one's certainly going to be a lot more lightweight, lower profile. This is going to make a great sweatpants knife because sweatpants and gym shorts, as we know, can't carry very well. This is actually very good with that. It's extremely lightweight, and that wire clip just makes it even easier for carrying that way. It's very easy to get it started on even very light, flimsy materials, although it is kind of a light, flimsy pocket clip. It feels like it's going to break off when I grip onto it. I know it's not, but it's kind of a little pet peeve of mine with this knife. I feel like I'm going to break it. But functionally speaking, for lighter materials, it's actually perfect. I really like it. And on this guy, we have the standard hourglass clip. Very perfect. Pretty much I have no complaints with it whatsoever. They carry pretty much exactly the same as far as how much they ride and how much is going to be poking out of your pocket. Pretty much the same, although they look quite different. It's about the same length poking out, not a big deal. They both have very big lanyard holes right here. The main difference between the two, though, again, our G10 model has G10 handle scales with steel liners. This variant does not have any skeletonization in them. I'm surprised, actually. FRCP, it's a full FRCP handle. It's kind of like FRN. It flexes a little bit, but it's very sturdy, actually, for being a fully polymer handle. I'm very surprised. I like it a lot. It certainly makes it a lot lighter, although it is going to be weaker. We have the Volcano grip on here, which I'm a huge fan of. Absolutely love the Volcano grip, man. The G10, this is kind of a medium traction G10, very similar to the Spyderco Tenacious line and all of the other G10 handle slabbed knives you get from Spyderco. Pretty much the exact same feeling right there. So both medium traction. Which one's grippier? They're just different. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm going to say the G10 feels a little bit more grippier just because it's a lot more fine. This one's a lot more rigid and obtrusive, as you can say, but it's still grippy. They're both very grippy. It's just kind of up to interpretation, which one's grippier, which one's more comfortable. It's just up to you. I like them both. Personally, this one feels more solid, but that's probably just because of the sturdiness of it, the G10 and the stainless steel liners. It literally is more solid, so I guess there's no surprises there. It certainly feels more smooth and it feels higher quality than the FRCP version, just because, again, the sturdiness of it, the steel liners in there, and so on. So that's pretty much a given. It deploys a lot smoother, actually. It feels a lot more smooth, feels a lot more sturdy. feels like it has a nicer lockup. This one feels a little bit grittier. It's not quite as smooth, but the washers are up against FRCP. They're up against a polymer rather than steel. So that's also a given. You just kind of have to expect that, unfortunately. It's not quite as smooth. It's still hella fast. It's a great knife, no complaints. But directing it head to head to the G10 version, it doesn't feel as smooth or as solid, which you should probably expect when you see the two knives head to head like this. Anyway, let's look at the ridges everywhere. So they both have very, very good jimping on the thumb ramp. So here they're pretty much identical, as you can see. Very, very solid. They both have big old fat lock bars. It looks like it's a little bit longer on the G10 variant, as you can see. We do have some jimping in the steel liners, which are okay. You know, it's sliding against the lock bar, sliding against the flat G10, so it's not the most grippy in the world, not as grippy as the thumb ramp, but still grippy enough. And we do have some cutouts in the FRCP, or some jimping right there. Not quite as, it's almost as grippy, almost actually. Very, very close. But I like that. I like how they at least give you the option on the FRCP model. You can see there's a full backspacer in the FRCP, flow-through design right down here. So there is a difference there. And so our FRCP model is fully enclosed. The G10 one is not. It's flow-through, other than the lock bar up here. Flush hardware on our G10 variant. I think it's really cool. Not flush. The hardware kind of bulges slightly. It's pinned together, other than, of course, the pocket clip screw and the pivot screw. So you cannot take apart the FRCP model. You can take apart the G10 model. More jimping on the bottom right here. They both have jimping on the ricassos of the blade, which is really cool. And then we do have some jimping in the FRCP handle right here as well, alongside the jimping in the ricasso. Same exact thing right here on the G10, although again, it's in the steel liner. Same thing right here in the second choil. Same thing right there in the FRCP choil. Not quite as effective, obviously. This one's a lot more fine. You can really bite your hand in there. Not so much, but at least there's a little something there. It's better than nothing. And then finally, we have jimping on the bottom right here as well. One thing I will note though, this style of jimping in the liner is the same exact style as down here, although this style of jimping is closer to the style they use on the blade right here. They have two different jimping patterns. These two aren't quite as grippy as these right here. Interesting how they went with that for whatever reason. This one really can lock your finger in right there. This one on the roof of it, on the spine, as well as down here, is just okay. About on par with the jimping right here and here in the FRCP model. It feels about the same, or it locks you in about the same. However, this jimping right here in the handle is not nearly as sharp as the jimping up here. However, they're both fully jimped in just about the same areas, which I think is very cool. They at least try it on the FRCP version, and for the most part, they succeeded. So the grip's certainly going to be different. Again, big advantage to the lightweight version is that it's a lot lighter. Hell yeah, way lighter actually. 3 ounces, it's extremely lightweight knife, and the specifications are exactly the same other than that. However, we do have a CTS BD1 blade steel, which performs similarly to VG10 in some aspects. S30V is going to be, I think, pretty much, no comparison, a better blade steel than the CTS BD1. It's just it just has better edge retention overall, amongst other things, but it is a lot more expensive too. That's why the knife costs more. So you pay more, you get more. This is just how that works. So there is no real like winner here. The FRCP version is cheaper. Big advantage is, hello, it's a lot cheaper. This guy's going to be considerably more expensive, about $40 more, give or take. It is a little heavier too. That's another downside. Lighter weight is another advantage. So cheaper and lighter weight, better blade steel, more solid, more sturdy, will be able to maintain itself even amongst harder use, because the steel liners in there, if you start prying and twisting a little bit, not that I recommend you do that with knives in general, or folding knives for that matter, but it certainly won't ruin its internal mechanics as easily as it will on something like that. So just keep that in mind. And the deployment is faster and smoother, I feel, on the G10 variant as well. Feels more solid, but nothing wrong with this version as well. I have to give it a little bit more of a thwack. It's just a little bit more stiff. But again, that's because of the lack of steel liners, which would, if it had them, would make it more heavy anyway. There really is no winner here. They're both really amazing knives. I love the ergonomics on them. I love the blade shapes. Everything about them is amazing. I love both their pocket clips. Everything about it. The cage ball bearing lock is just amazing. I love that locking mechanism. But they're very different knives in their philosophies of use. This is supposed to be a lighter weight knife. It's just as wide, it's just as long, just as thick, but it's lighter. It has just a much different set of handle materials and a way different pocket clip, and then to a lesser extent, a cheaper blade steel. This guy's kind of like the premium version of it. So yeah, it is a better knife, but it is chunkier, heavier. So I love both of these knives, which is why I bought both of them. They're both good for their own reasons. This is easily like a sweatpants, gym shorts kind of knife. You just want something as light as possible, but you want a lot of capability there. It's still very fast, still can lock your hand, and still great ergonomics, still very grippy, just a great EDC/defensive blade. If you just want to carry something that's not as heavy, or if you want to save as much money as possible, you really like the Manix, get the Manix lightweight. That's another great reason just to have one. This guy's kind of the premium, sturdier version of the Manix. So it is better overall, other than the fact that it is heavier. But if you don't mind the weight, this is certainly the one to go to if you also don't mind spending the extra money. And again, we get a better blade steel, I think, too. So both amazing, incredible knives. Very interesting comparison between the two. They both just excel at different things. I like them both for their own reasons. So that's it. There you have both the Manix lightweight and the G10 head-to-head.